play, but for EDG, they have a manageable road to get to playoffs, but it needs to come off the back of knowing your play style, which right now is very aggressive in game ones, at least try to get those very aggressive picks and force the hand stiff, but it's not consistent enough to say that, okay, you believe in EDG making this big run towards the end, and it needs to start by coming back into the series where you literally had an 11,000 gold swing in that first game to rely on that experience and reset that mental.
Yeah, you have to definitely find some kind of mental reset here. And it does, you know, when you have a game like that, there are kind of questions you start to pose yourself as a team where you're like, okay, how much of an issue was the draft? Was it execution? You know, was it a mix of the two? How do we want to change the approach on both, right? Because if you have an 8k gold lead, let's just be realistic here. In pro play, you should close out. There's, especially at the level of LPL, when you're a team like EDG, who have hit the ceilings they have very recently too, in the grander scheme of things, you do expect that they should be looking to make this 1-0 in their favor, but they couldn't do it. So do they change how aggressive they are in terms of gameplay with a very similar draft? Do they change the draft but keep a very similar kind of pace to the game? These are the questions that we're going to have to ask of EDG, as in terms of bans, things definitely look a little bit different.
Yeah, they definitely do. We get the Cassante, the Tristana, the Vi ban by EDG on the blue side. WE right there comfortable on the red side, as is their color scheme. Get the Sejuani, the LeBlanc, and the Renekton bans.
Yeah, so for me, the Nico was actually ignored last time around. We'll see whether or not that trend continues, as EDG will just lock in the Jace, so they're going to take that one away from Shank. So they don't want to deal with Maokai Jace. That seems to be the first port of call. So draft already looking a little bit different, and that should also mean making the assumption here that EDG also won't go towards the Kha'Zix again themselves. So it should be a different jungle as well. So where do WE now want to go? Because they had a very early aggressive pick inside of the Jax in game number 1. Arla could still technically take the Jace up towards the top side. It's not something we often see these days, but into the Jax does have a pretty decent one-to-one matchup if you, you change the typical runes that you would have in the mid lane. So we'll see exactly where that Jace ends up slotting in, and we know exactly where the Jax is going to go after Cube had.
They gave this man the Jax again. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. He does that to you in game 1, takes all that pressure. I don't know if you let that one through again. It is the Poppy, also a very nice comfort champ for Hung, and also something that can have a lot of that forward aggression in the early pathing.
Yeah, it can also curb the availability, of course, of the mobility spells that EDG have. It can be such an obnoxious ability at times. So we'll see exactly how EDG potentially look to draft around it, if at all. They do secure themselves the Maokai, though. That is definitely the trade when WE pick up this Poppy. They do give over this combination to EDG, and, you know, we said execution or draft. What's going to change? If EDG can get ahead like they did in game number 1, but they've got Maokai Jace, this looks entirely different for WE in terms of looking for an actual feasible comeback, and they're still going to run into this Arla on the Kennen matchup in the top side. So, you know, you're either playing to get Cube ahead, or you're looking for a very similar early game plan last game where you did try and actually set Uzi and Mako quite far behind whilst trying to give Hope some resources down there as well.
See if any of these answers really do make means happen for EDG. While the Azir did get let through here, comes in for Shanks. It's going to be his second most played champion, but also just something that's, we talked about last night, risen through the priority roof here. And I actually really like that pick compared with Shank's kind of play style and the way that WE uses him as well.
Yeah, I do agree. And Shanks just generally looks so good on the champion comparatively to a lot of the rest of his pool. So very excited to see him on so much comfort here in a series where they need to win. So pressure can definitely be alleviated off him a little bit. We know the matchup in the mid lane is going to be one where it should be relatively quiet, right? Trading health bars and mana bars at best for priority whenever each side want it. Away from that now, we're in ban phase 2, and both teams focusing on the support pools for now, with the Alistar and the Rel ban away. I feel like if you're WE, you might want to remove Rakan whilst also taking Xayah up on the form. Xayah defensively so good into things like Kennen and the Maokai, but you also don't necessarily want to give over HYCAN to this composition. They actually look more towards the Milio, perhaps scared of some of the Milio pairings that are still up and available. Of course, it's so unanimously banned often in the first 3 that I kind of forget about it at times. So we'll see exactly what gets left up and available now, as EDG have 1 more ban left, and I suspect they will also look at one of those more defensive options for WE to remove away.
I don't know if it's targeting their tried and true combo of the Lucian Melio for Uzi and Mako, but you know, maybe it is. We do get that HYCAN though banned by EDG on the other side to try and take away something from Iwandi in terms of that peel and give situation, but still a plethora of things to choose. We'll get bot lane focus for our final 2 choices on both sides. The Jinx from last game, I think, can take priority. It's something that Hope has played more than anything else here in summer in the amount of games they play, but also finds himself really able to feed off the momentum that this pick gives in team fights. And that is where Hope is at his most lethal, when he can pick apart a team fight with a lot of backing. And right now, this Jinx is top priority for WE.
Yeah, he has far more games on the Jinx than just about any other champion. He's got
He has
games on
9
so
now.
far this split. Yeah, this is going to be his 9th game. So, and I think it's like Zeri and then a Felios or something like that afterwards. So he really has been prioritizing this Jinx, despite the Mero in. We could just see Varus Heimerdinger.
Let's go!
Oh man, like we saw Weibo come out with a very similar composition not too long ago when they were dealing with an Aphelios. You can kind of do the same thing to Jinx as well. Ashe could be a slightly different take on it, right? Give you a little more DPS as well, as opposed to the Varus, while still kind of giving you a lot of that vision and information. So I like this as well. Ashe Heim in lane, going to be quite obnoxious to deal with. Now, and this is where things get kind of tricky for Iwandi, because like, if you pick hard engage, you die like a majority of the time. So you probably want an enchanter. Eyeing up the Karma, this will be a very interesting route to go. I think you want something that keeps at bay EDG, whilst also kind of just sitting quite far back here in this one, and you're just trying to contest priority. And Iwandi is definitely the perfect kind of player to have something like this Karma in his back pocket. So I like that WE. Don't just fall prey and go, you know what, fine, we'll send the Nautilus and we'll have this form of engage. They do just look to try and neutralize out with a little more enchanter kind of flavor to the composition. So now WE, comparatively to game 1, Mazel, have a lot more zone control and the ability to actually lock down areas and make things very, very difficult for WE to actually approach reasonably. So now, if they secure an early game lead, I suspect that they'll be a lot more happy to pull the trigger on something like the Baron.
Yeah, a lot more utilitarian focus as well from Uzi here, actually, very interestingly enough. But it is setting eyes on Fofo, right? They said, yeah, we saw what you did on LeBlanc in game 1. Let's have some more of that, but this time on the Jace, take it away from Shanks, but also give you so much strength around these objectives and around the entrance to those objectives. We know EDG have a lot of strength when it comes to controlling the map, controlling neutral objectives, but in game 1, it was actually WE who answered a lot of that, who had a lot of control around the map. And now with Iwandi on an enchanter that he feels comfortable with, and a very interesting 2v2 in the bottom lane that will lead to curious things when it comes to objective control and spacing, like you were saying. It's going to be a slugfest in game number 2, and see if WE's home arena can help them secure a clean sweep, or if EDG will actually make this a series and prolong this night and give themselves a little breathing room in this game, Jamada. I'm sure we'll get some loud gyos just like we did in game number 1, but game 2 will be kicking off now. All eyes on what EDG can make of it.
Even louder, no doubt. WE are 1 game up. You can hear him. And the hype man specifically very loud.
EDG!
Ooh. My good, this is WE's home arena! Goodness me, EDG fans. Very, very loud nonetheless. I like this from WE though. Wrap around. Don't meet them in the bottom brush. Wait for them to check.
Don't do it! I can't look! Oh my god, WE! They might have had the cheers for EDG, but it's all early game for WE. 2 straight kills.
Oh, what a good read from WE. Normally, right, when you have Heimerdinger in the game, you want to fight over this bottom brush priority. You want to try and ensure that he doesn't get these turrets down quickly. So what do WE do? Because they expect the 5-man stack. They 5-man stack, but they just go through the river, wrap back around towards the tri-bush, because they know at that point then Uzi, Mako, someone is going to walk back into that bush, surely. and the walk around pays off. They get 2 kills for their troubles, and one of those goes into Cube's hands, no less. After a game 1 like that, I don't think you're going to be too upset with him picking up the first early kill.
And now, yeah, this top side of the map is going to be so influential. Hung, so influential there. Also, side note, 4 sorcery trees there for EDG. A lot of blue. You know, my favorite color referencing from earlier. But specifically now, what WE does with this advantage, right? I think you can find a lot of strength if Hung keeps up the tempo. But you see opposite sides starts for both junglers.
Opposite sides, no invade shenanigans this time around, right? I wonder how JJ is going to path, considering the bottom side of his map now doesn't really have as much priority as you would have expected off of the level 1, because Hope and I1, they obviously had that little bit of a one-up in finding those 2 kills on the bottom side. He was also blown by Mako. I don't think it's going to have too much impact, but we'll see how things go.
This is beautiful.
3 camp clear into a top side gank. Super easy to set up here. Ala's still going to be level 2.
Yeah. And this is something JJ knows so well. He's going to be saying, Ala, I should have told you about it. Ala will burn that flash. Not going to go down, but that's still a lot of pressure.
Much better look in this game number 2, right? Now Cube is under a lot less pressure. The JJ now wants this bottom side. That's awkward, isn't it?
Preemptive ghost there from Uzi. Just trying to get some heavy trades actually into Hope.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a little bit chunk out, but still, you would have preferred an overall actual gank to actually come through here from JJ. It doesn't end up working out. And yeah, much better look from WE overall, right? You alleviate some pressure off of Cube. He also obviously got that first blood gold. Didn't have to blow the teleport even to get back up here on time either. So everything generally just set up a little bit better in the early game, whilst they also have Shanks just silently sat in the mid lane, scaling up, and he's going to do that for a while on this Azir. So this is definitely a positive outlook now, and EDG have to just do what they can to regain some control in terms of, you know, trying to set up base. And the bottom side of the map, now that WE, I1 and Hope have reset again, could be the area that they look to try and lock down.
Yeah, a little bit of vertical jungling, but it actually goes the way of Hung, because he was able to take a majority of that jungle up there, and now going to answer Ziedzie, who was pushed out by Awandi and Hope on that reset. Ziedzie's in some trouble now. He has flash. He's going to have to burn it, but right into Hope's waiting arms here with the zap. Hung not able to follow it up, though. They don't have as much damage, and Uzi and Mako were on their way, so really good cover from the bot lane from EDG.
Yeah, Hung was looking for the angle onto that bottom side of the Dragon Pit wall for the stun. If he finds it, JJ just dies, I think. Too much CC at that point. Now, one they would have caught up for the root as well, so feels a little bit bad, but EDG get away with a little bit of murder considering they shouldn't have still been around there. JJ a little bit of greedy pathing after failing that blue buff invading. Now he is actually being invaded on the back end. Both junglers have smite. And I think Hung knows JJ is there, maybe. We'll see. He's definitely going to see him now. And he got it. He got it, by the way, I think. One through the smite.
Well then, that's one way to do it. And now he's just forcing Ziecie away from this one. He's going to go for the engage. Fofo's right here as well. Shank's trying to actually follow up, but decent damage on the Ziecie means that EDG have to back away.
He can keep doing this. He can keep doing that as well. You're going to see him on the minimap just constantly follow JJ around as Cube. Does he have the damage for this? It's not the first time
we got fights
Cube
all over. All right. Let's see if Hung actually finding it on Mako. What a huge play, man. He will just go down. Not going to give it a shutdown over, but Uzi should be able to pick. Actually, JJ gets it with the sapling in the end as Uzi's going to come back to lane. But a bit of an overextend, but a nice little capitalization. Maybe a quick back for Hung.
Yeah, exactly. Hung feels pretty good about this early pathing here as really. Now, again, neither me nor Nazel are literate in
That's my name.
Mandarin, but that looks like Jax has won 3 games into Kennen when Kennen's considered the counter pick. Anyway, Hex Slash over the wall, a little bit sketch, but does eventually find Mako with the buckle up to get run down for his troubles. Hope was still on the way, right? Feels maybe with Iwandi straight away, then maybe they can look for a turnaround collapse and he can hold his ground, but unfortunately not the case. Does die for his troubles. He goes back to base, picks up tier 2 boots and a ruby crystal. So he wants to run around Mazel, and he wants to find more plays ASAP.
Kind of like where EDG were last game. Need to just keep the momentum going. Well, we spotted out on this top side, so some decent information for EDG, and that's where I want to check in. because it's a very different state of game than what we had last time. Yes, Cube is still losing. He's not losing by 50 CS, but EDG are in a much stabler spot than they were with their comp in last game. Do we feel the same for WE as now they're getting pressed in mid lane? Luckily, Awandi shows up, and they won't find anything in the 2v2.
Nothing for now. I do feel a lot better about WE and where they were comparatively to game 1 and 2. I will say again, if EDG, because we're still only 6 minutes in, it feels like there's been a lot of action. And I think in part that's just because Hung has been so aggressive in looking for these opportunities. But we are only 7 minutes in. So for EDG, game is still very much like within arm's reach. It's just about how they are denied the ability to actually pick up some of these early objectives, right? First Dragon, first Herald, and how WE play around them. Item spikes as well, pretty big for EDG generally. First item for Arla and JJ should be pretty massive spikes. Fofo needs realistically 2. And of course, Uzi, Mako will kind of slowly scale up with this game, and they're more about zone control than outright damage in many instances.
So no TPs available on EDG's side. They want to take this fight. They want something of an advantage here, but maybe WE wanted that fight. They weren't waiting for Allah, who had that slicing maelstrom, and Iwandi's just gone. That was some help from the Infernal Dragon as well. WE immediately run away from the situation, and Dragon goes to EDG as well as a kill.
Yeah, good roam from Allah. Recognizes how important this bottom side Dragon will be. They pick up the first one of the game because of it, and yeah, WE, I just don't think we're expecting the cannon in the bush, to be entirely honest. So really good play and read from EDG, and WE just caught a little bit lacking by that cannon. And Fofo will just catch his top wave, so even though Q picks up a plate, it's not really the biggest loss in the world, considering what you get on the opposite side of the map.
Should take a look back at the replay of that fight. Allah just waiting in the wings, and it was too late to pull away, as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow also helping a lot from Uzi there actually in the end. But we're right back to it now, and Rift Herald is what is in play next, at least. We'll see what the play is there, though, with a lot of vision from WE on bottom side already.
Yeah, JJ is just shadowing the bottom side of the map because he knows Hung is likely going to be around here, and even though there's vision available for EDG, he just doesn't want to let anything suspicious end up going on. So drop some saplings, clear some wards. Just be careful he doesn't get caught out by Hung here. They're actually looking for a
Hung's coming right around the corner. He has the Keeper's Verdict. That's the cleanse out. They might be able to do this and get out in time. Oh, Mako gets locked down, though, and that's a big pick out in the end of a return. But 2 kills had gone over. And you do get something back here for EDG on the bottom side, and a big wave crashing.
Yeah, and I mean, Hope is going to miss all of that. And, you know, we spoke about the CS lead that was accrued in the top side of the map by Arla into Cube last game. It's kind of repeating itself on the bottom side, huh? Uzi is picking up plates too, so we'll see how fed this Ashe gets. Also looks like Uzi is going to be opting in to the static shift, considering his components, so that's going to be an additional facet of wave clear between him and Mako, which will be very, very obnoxious once they make it to the mid lane as well. But for now, not at this top side of the map. Mako is. Uzi has to likely go down towards the bottom side. Maybe, depending on how EDG are feeling. If they want to contest this, they bring Uzi up. If they want to kind of fake contest it, make things a little bit awkward for WE, then they can send them to the bottom side of the map and just maybe get another extra plate. Also, solo XP, all of that stuff. Seems like, though, both teams a little bit indecisive. You can kind of see by the movements, right? Awandi looking to maybe just kind of secure a little bit of soft vision down here on the bottom side, catch out a rotation from Uzi maybe. But at the end of it, now that both teams are finished feeling each other out, JJ will be the one that gets the draft.
Pretty sure Uzi took one little chicky nuggy there.
Maybe.
Just wanted to see the proc of the static shift since he's got that one completed as well. First item in the game. We'll see if getting back towards bottom lane is going to be the mission goal for both these two teams, as now Rift Herald goes to EDG. And they're right in the right state of mind as well. They typically go for a lot of objective controls, a lot of map controls, and they're getting it here in Game 2.
Yeah, this is perfect. That's what the composition wants to do as well. Maokai, Jace, Ashe, Heim. First move into the river is going to be crucial. Actually, for both these teams, the more you think about it. Poppy's so good at defending ground with the Keeper's Verdict, and of course the Steadfast Presence stops any dashes. Not that there's really many in this game, it's realistically just Fofo, but you get the idea, right? Very stalwart defense kind of champion. And of course, Shanks, I think, needs no explanation on the Azir and what the Sand Soldiers can get done. So first move into the next objective specifically going to be crucial throughout the game. We're going to have to track mid lane priority and how both these teams want to actually enter the river and how well they can defend their vision respectively.
It's going to be a little bit difficult, but you know one thing that helps in that fashion is maybe some side lane pressure. Zala and Cube tussling in that regard. There is still also the matter of spacing that EDG honestly feel like they have a lot of advantages in. Now, a keeper verdict changes that all around. But if EDG are the ones that are entering an already started objective, it feels like WE are going to be on the back foot.
That's oh no.
Oh, that's just the combo right under tower. You're asking for help, but no help is coming.
Yeah, that one just got one shot. This is why, like, when you used to see like Varus plus Heim, occasionally you would see both laners just take cleanse, just so they could like not have to deal with that. And that's pretty much a case study as to why. But Mako, Uzi find one bit of CC, and it turns into so much. Like, how obnoxious! Oh, Uzi.
Uzi. Okay. Hey, playing on knife's edge, all right? Day and night, day and night.
Day and night, my backside, he nearly killed himself.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. JJ in a little bit of trouble. Just trying to defend his laners who are backing in the bush. Luckily, they both make it out. Very, very close. The Rylays does get completed for Mako.
All right, so Rylays, like you said, completed for Mako. And that's going to just make, again, you know, WE not making it in. To objectives first, even rougher. So grenade into arrow into death. He had no opportunity to use his flash. That felt fun. As
okay.
Yeah.
Little antsy there, Ala. Little antsy.
Was a now. Can you blame him given Cube's
track record?
I
can't, because
given Cube's track record of aggressive flashes forward this series, can you blame him?
Don't go back. Like, don't go back. Don't go back, Ala. Run away. There's an angry woman with a rocket.
Yeah, that's why the observer was hovering between Hope and Ala there, was anticipating a potential super mega death rocket. Doesn't end up coming through in the end. So Herald will be dropped here on the bottom side, but this is a good tempo swing for EDG even further ahead. Even though the top tower is secured, this is gonna be 2 charges on a solo plate gold for the tier 1 into a tier 2, which even if it's shared by Mako and Uzi together, is going to be a massive amount of gold. So
yeah,
I feel like even though WE, you know, get gold into the members that I suppose they, you know, want in this specific exchange, is it really worth it in the grand scheme of things when you lose out on this much map control against a composition like this who want to strangle you out in vision?
And you're wondering if, you know, a little bit of sideline pressure for Hope gives him something. I do really like the Jinx still in a lot of these situations, depending on how the team fights go, but it really is going to be a situation where EDG, going off of last game, they looked good for like 90% of that game. They were in control. They were winning. And now they just feel a lot more stable, a lot more stalwart. So we get another item completion really coming across for everyone. Evan Shroud there for ZIA, but more importantly, the Duskblade completed for Fofo as well. So a lot of the poke coming through and the cutout potential of EDG is starting to come online.
It certainly is. And for WE, you wonder now, as EDG start to take control of, you know, sort of mid lane pressure specifically through Uzi and through Mako, how will WE handle the vision denial and eventual shutdown that they were actually, you know, kind of on the same end of last game, but with different tools and more defensive tools on the side of EDG. Saplings, Maokai, plus, of course, Heimerdinger. It's all going to be very, very frustrating to get through. And WE, I feel like, are kind of in a very similar boat where they have to wait, oh boy, for a long time.
Hung's just going to get brought back there. There's nothing really he can do, but he's still taking up a storm. Is going to get the flash out, not able to get it is Uzi, but Hope is going to take the brunt of Uzi's ire, and Uzi comes up big. We got to get him cut out here, though, as Iwandi's trying to take him down. He's healing a lot. He takes out another, and that's huge for EDG. He can't get the third, though. Mako on the other side of dodge, but it doesn't matter because WE have crumbled to dust.
Uzi just space glided on all of WE there. Even if he's the only one to go down, he just embarrassed everyone, and it gave enough time for EDG to come in and collapse. That was insane. No fear at all as he just walked forward on everyone and ran them down. That was crazy.
Don't need no breaks if all you do is go forward. Starting it off with that enchanted crystal arrow and following it through.
Yeah, so obviously Hung is very, very tanky. And I think the fact that JJ doesn't commit the ultimate at the very start of this fight makes things a little bit awkward. Hope tries to just cleanse and get away, but unfortunately, with all of the approach velocity movement speed in the back end of Ghost, it was a little bit too difficult. The stun here from Mako also stops Shanks from potentially flash walling Uzi, and he just one-shot Saiwandi. And also, the knockback from Fofo, we didn't catch that in live, is what stopped Cube from getting on top of him immediately, but once he does get him, he obviously dies, but it doesn't matter, because he's effectively 1v4'd the entirety of WE with movement alone whilst EDG came into collapse.
Look at that
4K damage. Woo! Uzi is on
He
fire.
almost did more than the entire team of WE. I was still a little bit off that, but yeah, goodness gracious. And we talked about it at the beginning. What a beautiful setup. We didn't get it in game number 1, but man, Uzi is coming alive in game 2. He does not want to give up. He does not want this series to end in a 2-0 for WE. And EDG have propped themselves up in a big gold lead here.
Yeah, they have. It's ballooned over 5K now, and it will continue to grow. Where before the Baron is up, so EDG, at my previous request of put the pedal to the metal, cannot quite do that just yet. But the next dragon spawns up in 45 seconds time, a little bit more. And once they pick that up, they will only have the Baron to focus on for the foreseeable future. For now though, in the immediate, the Herald is up and they can take this, and WE certainly can't really find any contest. They'll try and cross-map this tower on the bottom side, so clawing back a little bit of gold, but at the end of the day, it still feels like it pales in comparison, but whatever you can get is always going to feel like a little bit of a win. And we do have objective bounties up, so I guess it'll be a slightly bigger injection of cash, but still nothing in comparison to what EDG are getting right now and what they are likely to pick up as well as they approach that dragon in 20 seconds.
Yeah, we did see EDG with the lead. Now, I was saying earlier, different composition, different feeling, but we have seen them fumble the bag already, Jamada. We got to see them continue to cross their T's, dot their I's. The theme of the day, apparently. Dragon is up. This is soul point for EDG.
Textbook League of Legends is what EDG now need to accomplish.
Textbooks are expensive.
Textbooks are expensive. I was going to say something then, but I'm not sure. You know what? I'm not going to say it. It's to do with how you can get textbooks. We live in a smart age, people.
We live in a society.
We live in a society, that's for sure. Hope is going to have to use his cleanse there. Well aimed by Uzi. It was about to start getting real meta real quick there for a second. But now with that dragon off the map, and dragon, or Baron rather, spawning in a little under 60 seconds time, they will put this Herald down just to secure the tower. And I mean, again, you know, tower here, what this is realistically going to do is just open up the map even more. Hung is on, well, a flank.
I don't know if that's one you want to take there.
I don't know if he wants it. That's obviously the difference.
Now, I do have a serious question, though, because we can't shy away from what happened in game 1. And while, yes, WE's complex is a little different, it still feels in the same vein. Do we still see a light at the end of the tunnel where WE's comp scales to infinity and maybe makes it in to get Ala in the side lane, actually? Slicing Maelstrom does come through. This is not a 2v1 that he wins, though, and nobody is here to respond. The flash comes out, and WE will have to back away.
Yeah, they just dealt no damage to him, did they? Like, there was no damage baked between Hung and Cube, so he just walks out for free. Yeah, very, very difficult. And I do like the point that you bring up, right? Do you just try and make side lane picks? Do you just forego team fighting overall because you know you can never really reclaim territory around these objectives? Maybe, but I feel like we just saw a pretty decent example of that attempt. And yeah, Ala can start to build defensively after he goes this Shadow Flame as well, right? Things like the Zhonya's can really slow things down. So yeah, for WE, I think this might be an insurmountable one. We'll have to see as they get on top of the Baron. And Hung is on the top side. He's in the tri-brush, and he's been spotted out.
Not going to let him get back into the game this time. Baron will not be stolen by the Super Mega Death Rocket, and we will actually see EDG with consistent control in this game number 2.
Very, very hard, I think, for WE to wrest control back. I just don't feel like they have any relevant tools to do so. They just have to pray again on an EDG mistake like what we saw from game number 1. Like you said, it's on our minds because of how big that lead was. And we're almost there, Mazel. Like 500 more gold, and they have as big a lead as they did in game 1. However, it did take them a lot longer to get there.
It definitely did. And they still have so much time that they need to really get anything under. They are not even close to even 3 items there for a lot of members. And we're going to be getting close for EDG as they do take a tier 2 tower in the top side. They'll get their backs off with a quick reset of the Baron buff and get back onto the map where, you know, everything's looking peachy dandy for them. And the resets are going to be huge to get that 3rd item spike for Uzi, as well as just getting back onto the bottom side of the map and get ready for their soul that's going to be coming up in 2 minutes.
Yep. Again, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. That will be the chapter of this particular textbook for EDG. And they still have to do it one more time if they win out because of how things ended last game. Well, definitely the questions were asked from us. What will it be? Adaptation in gameplay or adaptation in draft? And it seems like adaptation in draft definitely was the port of call, as they've kind of approached the game in a very similar way. And now it's just about suffocation. There's no more towers outside of the base. There's very limited wave clear on the side of WE, and it's just about syncing up these waves and getting them there at the same time. That's why Arla is slow pushing this wave down here so he can pressure this bottom side tower as Uzi and Fofo, with this ultimate in support from JJ, force Hope back.
Still gets caught by the Nature's Grasp in the end, as well as the inhib tower in mid and bot under siege. See if EDG can get this inhib down. They do in mid lane as well, or at least, and now looking bot lane as well. They should be able to get another one down, and it just means WE are on the back foot continuously here, 23 minutes in.
Absolutely they are. And this is what EDG wanted to be doing last game, but it's just so much more difficult because of the composition they had this time around. Poke tools, zoning tools, defensive tools. Doesn't matter if Cube's on the side lane. He's not going to achieve much. He's going to teleport back now, but Mazel, I feel like it's too little too late. If they can find a big Keeper's Verdict into an immediate numbers advantage, maybe?
Okay, JJ's gone, but Slicey Maelstrom is still there, and point and present are the EDG as a snipe comes through from Fofo. The bouncing grenade connects, and everything from WE has fallen apart in Game 2. We get a series delivered straight to our doorstep. And it's EDG who have awoken. They needed to warm up in Game 1, and boy, are they warmed up. A huge win from them.
Yeah, massive win. And they needed it after game number 1. They needed their head shaken a bit, probably in the back room, I imagine it was. And definitely reflected in the gameplay. A lot more decisive, and this draft felt a lot more playable as well from their end. So I think for me, for EDG,